They don't need to say, "I don't want you." They don't need to block your number or slam the door in your face. The worst narcissists have mastered something far more devastating. They reject you while keeping you close enough to doubt yourself every single day. If this sounds like I'm reading your diary, hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments what silent rejection hurt you the most. I read every single comment, and your experience might be the validation someone else desperately needs today. You know what's happening, don't you? You're living in the space between hope and humiliation. They text you just enough to keep you wondering. They give you just enough attention to make you question if you're imagining the distance. They're physically there, but emotionally gone. And somehow, they've convinced you that this is your fault. This is what the worst narcissist does. They perfect the art of rejecting you without saying a single word. And the scariest part? You don't even realize it's happening until you're already drowning in confusion. They've turned rejection into a slow poison, drop by drop, day by day, until you can't tell the difference between love and indifference anymore, until you start believing that begging for basic attention is normal, until you convince yourself that their emotional absence is your emotional problem. The worst narcissist doesn't break your heart in one devastating moment. They erode it, grain by grain, until you wake up one day wondering who you used to be before you started shrinking yourself to fit into their indifference. John Bowlby, the psychologist who revolutionized our understanding of attachment, discovered something that will change how you see this pain forever. The most damaging rejection isn't abandonment, it's inconsistent availability. It's the parent who's sometimes loving, sometimes cold. It's the partner who's sometimes present, sometimes absent. Your nervous system can't adapt to what it can't predict. And narcissists? They've weaponized this confusion into an art form. Think about it. A clean rejection would hurt, but it would also heal. It would give you clarity. It would let you mourn and move on. But the worst narcissist knows this. They know that uncertainty keeps you trapped. They know that hope mixed with doubt creates the perfect cage. They know that intermittent reinforcement is more addictive than consistent love could ever be. You become addicted to their unpredictability. You start living for those moments when they suddenly pay attention. You chase the high of feeling chosen even if it only lasts for minutes. You become grateful for scraps because you've forgotten what a full meal feels like. The worst narcissist studies you. They learn exactly what keeps you hoping. They discover your triggers, your weaknesses, your deepest fears of abandonment. Then they use this knowledge to keep you exactly where they want you, available but not demanding, present but not persistent, loving but not expecting love in return. They master the timing. Just when you're about to give up, they throw you a bone. Just when you're gaining strength, they show you vulnerability. Just when you're building boundaries, they cross them with just enough charm to make you question if you're being too harsh. Here's exactly what they do instead of rejecting you cleanly. They give you breadcrumbs disguised as meals, a good morning text that leads nowhere, a deep conversation followed by days of surface-level responses. They make plans and then act like spending time with you is a burden they're graciously bearing. They compliment you in private and ignore you in public. They create intimacy and then withdraw it without warning, leaving you analyzing every word, every pause, every silence like you're solving a crime. But it gets worse. They remember your vulnerabilities and use them against you. They know you fear abandonment, so they threaten to leave without ever actually leaving. They know you crave validation, so they withhold it until you're desperate. They know you want consistency, so they give you chaos disguised as complexity. They train you to accept their moods as weather you can't control. They teach you to read their emotional temperature before you even consider your own. They make their feelings the center of every interaction, while yours become invisible, irrelevant, inconvenient. The worst narcissist doesn't just reject your love, they reject your reality. They make you question if what you're experiencing is real. They gaslight you into believing that their inconsistency is your insecurity, that their emotional unavailability is your neediness, that their inability to commit is your inability to be patient. They perfect the art of making you feel crazy for wanting what every human being deserves: consistency, respect, and genuine care. They turn your basic needs into character flaws. Your desire for clarity becomes controlling. Your need for security becomes clinginess. Your expectation of reciprocity becomes selfishness. But here's where it gets truly insidious. You start performing for their attention. You become smaller, quieter, more agreeable. You stop mentioning your needs because their mood shifts when you do. You celebrate the moments they're fully present because they're so rare, so precious, so worth the wait. And slowly, without even realizing it, you begin rejecting yourself on their behalf. You start saying no to your own feelings. You dismiss your own instincts. You gaslight yourself into believing that inconsistent love is better than no love at all. You become the accomplice to your own emotional murder. You apologize for existing too loudly in their space. You shrink your personality to fit their comfort zone. You silence your voice to avoid disturbing their peace. You dim your light so they don't feel outshined. You become a ghost of yourself, haunting your own life. The worst narcissist doesn't have to reject you. They train you to reject yourself so thoroughly that you do their work for them. You become your own emotional assassin. You start believing that you're too much, too needy, too demanding for wanting basic human connection. You start monitoring your own behavior like you're under surveillance. Am I being too clingy? Am I asking for too much? Am I being too sensitive? You become hyper-vigilant about your own needs while completely blind to their manipulation. They make you grateful for the bare minimum, while convincing you that even asking for that minimum makes you ungrateful. They position themselves as the generous one, for giving you scraps, while you're the greedy one for wanting more. They flip the script so completely that you start thanking them for their emotional absence. The worst narcissist doesn't just reject you. They train you to reject yourself. They make you grateful for crumbs. They make you apologize for wanting more. They make you feel selfish for expecting consistency. They convince you that their emotional unavailability is actually your emotional instability, that your need for security is neediness, that your desire for clarity is control. They create a reality where their problems become your responsibility. Their mood swings become your fault. Their inability to love consistently becomes your failure to be patient enough. Their rejection becomes your inadequacy. Their issues become your identity. And here's the most devastating part. They make you believe that this treatment is love. They convince you that real love is supposed to be hard, confusing, painful, that if it doesn't hurt, it isn't deep, that if it isn't complicated, it isn't real. They romanticize dysfunction and call it passion. The worst narcissist rewrites the definition of love in your mind. They make you believe that love means accepting less than you deserve, that love means being grateful for inconsistency, that love means never knowing where you stand, that love means walking on eggshells to avoid losing someone who's already emotionally gone. They convince you that healthy relationships are boring, that consistency is bland, that security is settling. They make chaos feel like chemistry, and instability feel like intensity. They drug you with intermittent reinforcement and call it romance. But here's what Bowlby also discovered, and this will set you free. Your need for secure attachment isn't the problem. Their inability to provide it is. You're not too much, too needy, too sensitive, too demanding. You're responding exactly as you should to abnormal treatment. Your heart is doing exactly what it's designed to do when someone shows you inconsistent love. It's trying to solve an unsolvable puzzle. Your nervous system is screaming because it recognizes danger, even when your mind tries to rationalize it away. Your instincts are firing because they know something is wrong, even when they convince you everything is fine. Your body is keeping the score, even when they rewrite the rules of the game. And that's the trap. You think if you just figure out the right formula, the right words, the right behavior, they'll finally choose you consistently. But the worst narcissist doesn't want to solve the puzzle. They want to keep you trying to solve it forever. They need you to stay confused because your clarity is their kryptonite. They need you to stay hopeful because your despair would free you. They need you to stay invested because your indifference would end their power over you. The worst narcissist fears your awakening more than your anger. They can handle your tears, your pleas, your desperation, but they can't handle your realization. They can't survive your clarity. They can't control your peace. The The moment you stop trying to decode their behavior and start trusting your own experience, the game ends. The moment you stop asking, "What did I do wrong?" and start asking, "What am I accepting that I shouldn't?" the spell breaks. The moment you stop performing for their approval and start protecting your own peace, you win. The cruelest part isn't even the rejection itself. It's how they make you complicit in your own diminishment. They don't just leave you, they teach you to leave yourself. They don't just ignore you, they train you to ignore your own worth. They don't just reject you, they convince you to reject your own reality. Listen to me very carefully. When someone wants you, you know. When someone chooses you, you feel it in your bones, in your breath, in your being. There's no guessing, no analyzing, no walking on eggshells waiting for the next emotional earthquake. Love doesn't make you smaller. Love doesn't make you doubt your own sanity. Love doesn't require you to perform for basic human respect. The person who silently rejects you while keeping you around isn't conflicted about their feelings. They're comfortable with yours. They like having someone who accepts their inconsistency without complaint. They enjoy the control that comes with keeping you hoping. Your confusion serves their ego. Your uncertainty feeds their sense of power. Your pain proves their importance. They keep you close enough to feel chosen, but far enough away to never feel secure. They give you just enough to make leaving feel like giving up, but never enough to make staying feel like winning. This isn't love. This isn't even like. This is emotional manipulation disguised as complexity. But you have a choice that changes everything, and I mean everything. You can stop waiting for them to choose you and start choosing yourself. You can stop asking, "What did I do wrong?" and start asking, "What am I accepting that I shouldn't?" You can stop trying to earn what should be freely given. The silent rejection ends the moment you stop participating in it. It ends when you value your peace more than their presence. It ends when you realize that someone who keeps you guessing doesn't deserve to keep you at all. It ends when you understand that their inability to love you consistently says nothing about your lovability and everything about their capacity. You don't need their words to free yourself. You don't need their permission to choose differently. You don't need their clarity to see clearly. You just need to stop accepting silent rejection as if it's love. You deserve someone who doesn't just tolerate your love, someone who celebrates it. You deserve someone who doesn't leave you wondering where you stand, someone who stands firmly beside you through every season. You deserve clarity, consistency, and the kind of love that doesn't require you to shrink your soul to receive it. The worst narcissist rejects you without saying a word because they know that words would give you power. Words would give you closure. Words would give you the freedom to walk away with your dignity intact. Your liberation starts the moment you stop waiting for their words and start listening to your own inner voice, the one that's been trying to save you all along. Stop accepting silent rejection. You were never meant to live in the space between maybe and never. You were meant to be chosen, celebrated and loved without conditions, without confusion, without having to decode every interaction like it's written in a foreign language. Your worth isn't determined by their inconsistency. Your value isn't measured by their availability. Your future isn't limited by their inability to see what they're losing. The worst narcissist rejects you without saying a word, but you get to accept yourself with every word you speak, every boundary you set, every step you take towards someone who knows your worth without you having to prove it. You get to choose differently. You get to love differently. You get to expect differently. You get to demand the kind of love that doesn't require a detective to decipher, a translator to understand, or a therapist to survive. The worst narcissist may reject you without saying a word, but your healing starts with the words you say to yourself. I deserve better. I am worth more. I choose me. And those words have the power to break every chain they wrapped around your heart without you even noticing. Stop accepting silent rejection. Stop participating in your own diminishment. Stop waiting for someone to choose you who's already shown you they won't. The worst narcissist rejects you without saying a word, but your freedom is found in finally hearing your own voice again, the one that's been whispering, "You deserve more," all along. You were never meant to live in the space between maybe and never. You were meant to be chosen, celebrated, and loved without having to decode every interaction, analyze every silence, or perform for every moment of attention. Your healing begins the moment you stop listening to their silence and start hearing your own truth. You are worthy, you are enough, and you deserve love that doesn't leave you guessing, wondering, or walking on eggshells just to feel human. The worst narcissist rejects you without saying a word. But you get to accept yourself with every word you choose to speak in your own defense, every boundary you choose to build for your own protection, and every step you choose to take toward a love that chooses you back, consistently, clearly, and without confusion.